Hello everyone, my name is Kenneth. I'm the Alsid APJ Technical Director, and today we're going to talk about AD security um, and how Alsid can help you if you're not doing enough to protect AD. And I'm pretty sure a lot of companies today do not have a dedicated solutions and are not doing enough to protect their Active Directory. And today we hope to change your mind on protecting Active Directory. So first of all, a little bit of history of Active Directory. AD, as you probably are very well aware of, governs your authentications, holds all your passwords, manage your access rights, and also tells you what you can do and cannot do as a person in an organization. The thing about Active Directory is it's a very solid product. It is ubiquitous. It has been trusted by large and small organizations throughout the world. It is a product that has so much influence in the corporate world. However, it hasn't been changed in the last 20 years. The design is still the same. The mantra, the technique, and the architecture of Active Directory is still roughly the same. And another thing about Active Directory is it is impossible to maintain a pristine state. When you install an Active Directory, it may look fresh, it may look healthy, but as time goes, as you procure and buy more software and engage with vendors, the Active Directory state would inevitably change. So we believe clean AD implementations are a myth. There are ways to harden it, but there are also a lot of different ways to weaken it as well. What we do in Alsid is we don't focus, unlike most of the solutions, we don't focus on the initial compromise, nor we focus on the post-compromise, such as data exfiltration on the 9th and 10th phases of the kill chain framework. What we do is we focus on the most critical time period when your environment has an attacker waiting for the perfect storm to happen, waiting for the perfect Active Directory configuration so that they can launch the scripts that have been meticulously prepared and run to extract data and informations in the Active Directory. And what do I mean by this? So what makes Active Directory susceptible to attack? First of all, AD type or AD based attack are not because of Microsoft faults. They are not because there are a lot of 0 days of bugs that they need to be fixed. Not exactly. The thing about Active Directory is most of them are because of misconfiguration, misconfigurations in the users and groups, such as service principal name that has more privilege than it needs to, dangerous Kerberos delegation, the most popular example for a dangerous delegations are unconstrained delegation. There are also other type of delegation as well, and if it's improperly assigned to sensitive object, may create um, unintended security impact to your Active Directory. There are also misconfigurations on the objects and schema, which we'll show you shortly. Schema, you can inject backdoor and attach persistency by changing the default security in the schema of Active Directory. If you don't monitor your GPU permission as well, someone could create or inject malicious scripts in the GPU in the hope that it will be forced to run in domain controller to extract data or to inject new users into the Active Directory. You may also have misconfigured trust relationship. Absence of SID filtering will create a risk of impersonation, or what we call as, or the TGT delegations that is allowed may create a perfect opportunity for escalations of privilege, and these are also some of those the famous printer bug are using to compromise domain that is being trusted. So over here, I'm going to show you what I mean by all these three: configurations on user, configurations of object and GPO, and the trust relationship. So in this particular demo, I have created multiple examples in my Active Directory, and this is where Alsid would try to find out what this means. The first one is SPN, Service Principal Name. So by going to the indicator of exposures, if you're not familiar with Active Directory, we have a very concise and contextual and easy to understand example. So this is just going to be a very, very short demo. And if you're interested, feel free to reach out to us to learn more. So in this example, I have Mr. SpongeBob. That is a privileged account and is also a service account. And here is the risk. The attacker can retrieve the Kerberos ticket and then launch a Kerberos attack to guess the password and achieve an escalation of privilege. This very, very simple example that everyone would be aware of. There are also other examples such as delegation. So we raised alert and risk about delegation. For example, the RBCD backdoor, role-based access control backdoor, that could allow a domain to be compromised. RBCD, a role-based constrained delegations, is a legitimate feature, and if applied properly, it is fine. It's okay, and it's been recommended to better to use that than an unconstrained delegation. However, applying it on a sensitive object such as KRBTGT or DCVM or domain controller virtual machines is a bad idea. And as you can see from here, we have those contexts in mind as well. We don't just simply raise it. You can see there are a few. For example, there is, for example, over here, you can see DCVM has been injected with the RBCD, which is why we raise a deviance. But however, at the same time, you see Ted, Mr. Ted here, has the same RBCD injected as well, but we don't raise any deviance. So contextual is very important to reduce false positive. We also look for GPO permissioning as well. All those changes that you saw just now, like sysvol change, script being added, they are being monitored as well. So over here in the GPO script, we will, in the GPO, what we call as indicator of exposures, we will tell our customers that you have certain script that is being created with an unintended consequences because a user may have access to this script, and this script may be forced to run on your domain controller. So we list down all this GPO permissioning. And in regards to trust, if you remember from my slide just now, in regards to the trust issue, we also have relevant advisory if the trust is dangerous, if the trust is operate in a specific ways, and absence of certain filtering or features or attributes are absent from your trust configurations. We raise those alerts as well, and also subsequently tells you the impact of such configuration. So it's a, let me just go back to my slide here. And that's about what makes Active Directory susceptible to attack. What about ongoing attack? Attack that do not create event logs such as DC Shadow. So DC Shadow is specifically created to circumvent and evade alert or event log, right? So it is very hard to define or to find out if you are under a DC Shadow attack, but it's not impossible. There are certain solutions out there that can detect DC Shadow attack. Okay. However, what is difficult is to find the changes made by the DC shadow itself. Now, DC shadow is using AD replication process to inject informations into the legitimate domain controller. And because this change does not originate from the domain controller, the legitimate domain controller, it doesn't keep an event log. So the only way to find out the changes made on this domain environment is to actually monitor the domain 24/7 and to find a differential between a previous value and an after value so that we can define what has been changed in the Active Directory. And this is because changes replications are not new event, hence logs are not being logged. You can find out more about DC Shadow online. It's a very well-researched topic. Now, what we do in Alsid is, because we don't rely on event logs, we find and we detect all the changes happening right now in the Active Directory. We are able to tell you that you are under a DC Shadow attack by raising you as an alert. We are also able to tell you that your environment has been injected with a change. Basically, an SID history was injected to a user's census. And that change raises another alert as well, because that change creates a backdoor in your Active Directory environment. So really, Alsid for AD is an Active Directory security monitoring product. And we do all of this without any agent, without any privilege. And we are also AD native in a way that we are one of the very rare company, subset of company that focus just on Active Directory. And we provide near instant value. The fact that we deploy a solutions in a very simple way and could deploy it in a very fast paced environment and manner, we are able to provide you the results as quickly as possible. So we do four things. The first one is we find and fix your existing weaknesses, right? Very easy to understand. We uncover new attack pathways as soon as someone make a change in your Active Directory and they allow an attack to happen, or perhaps the same thing is happening right now as well with an attacker sitting in your environment waiting for the perfect storm to happen. We act like them. We wait for a new attack pathways to happen so that we can close them before an attacker or a malicious user use them to exploit your environment. We detect ongoing attack as well, as I have been demoing just now using DC Shadow as an example. And we also allow you to do investigations. All the details of the change, before and after value are being logged. You can search it in Alsid. There's certain syntax and query that you can use to search, and it's very helpful for incident responders and threat hunters to investigate how an attack could be possible and to reenact the entire attack if you want to. And with that, thank you for joining us and viewing the video. It was a very short introduction of what we do and the importance of Active Directory and the complexity of Active Directory as well. If you wish to know more about our work with Active Directory security, please feel free to email me at ken.teo@alsid.com and enjoy the Black Hat event. Thank you very much.